Before I get started with this story, let me give a shout out to one of my followers on Twitter, Blackjack20, for sending me this. And he has asked me, have I ever done a triple P on a group of people? Because as y'all know, mainly the triple Ps happen for those in a singular individual category. Now, I know I've done triple Ps on leaders of groups, but I can't remember if I've done one on a group as a whole. But I probably have, but they're few and far in between. But this one was too good to pass up, and y'all are going to laugh your ass off when y'all hear this story, just probably on the title alone. So apparently in DC, this Dub S group had some kind of rally in DC. I did not know about it, and I was in DC on Saturday, but nowhere near this. But I was in DC, minding my business. And apparently there was some kind of rally that was held down there by the Lincoln Memorial. And this is a picture right here of the group. As you can see, they have on khaki pants, some boots, some blue coats, some white mask, glasses, and some khaki colored hats, and some looks like some shields. And of course, they're carrying the American flag. Why they were down there, I don't know, but we're going to read it in an article. But the funny part about this whole thing is the transport of them getting there. Do you know that these fools actually came to that rally not on a bus, but in a U-Haul truck? But what's funny about this, and what makes this even funnier, is what happened after the fact. So I'm gonna go ahead and just read the article because I want to make sure that I don't get anything wrong. It says a group of white supremacists stormed through downtown Washington, D.C. on Saturday evening bearing American flags and mildly menacing plastic shields while marching on the beat of a snare drum down the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. But after chanting aggressively about their plans to reclaim America, quote unquote, their intended show of force stalled spectacularly when they lost their ride. So they had to get up out of there. Because see, the thing is, the U-Haul it works like any other rental. You only can have it for a certain amount of time. And when that clock and meter starts to run dry, it's time to get up out of there. First off, what they did was already illegal by having them being transported in a U-Haul, because last time I checked, U-Haul was only supposed to be moving stuff from one place to another when you're in the process of moving, like from a house or an apartment into another apartment or into another house, not moving people. So the people over at U-Haul, they got some explaining to do. While the group had marched through the city with threatening chants about their plan to reclaim America, by the end of the night, it was not even clear how they intended to reclaim their U-Haul. The rally by more than 100 members of the Patriot Front group, okay, so now we have a name of the group, held just blocks from the White House, sparked fear among many bystanders and immediately attracted the attention of law enforcement, who shadowed the group to forestall any conflict. Now look at that, on code, they gave them cover. But I bet you if this was a BLM event, and like I said, this is not me endorsing BLM because y'all know how I feel about them, but I'm just saying, if it was a BLM thing, they wouldn't have given them no cover. They would have antagonized them, and it would have turned into something major. And if we didn't hear about it on the news about them having something, some kind of an event, we would have heard about it, because 9 times out of 10 the police antagonized it and something popped off because of what they did. Members wore a uniform, white gaiters, sunglasses, blue jackets, khaki pants, and brown boots and hats. Some donned plastic shin guards, seeming to anticipate violence. As Patriot Front leader Thomas Rousseau spoke beside the Capitol reflecting pool, bystanders booed. Asked about the reason for the march, Rousseau said, "Our demonstrations are an exhibition of our unified capability to organize to show our strength, not as brawlers or public nuisances, but as men capable of illustrating a message and seeking an America that more closely resembles the interests of its true people." That man literally spoke in code speak right there for those, because for many people that would go over their head. This guy said, not as brawlers or public nuisances, but as men capable of illustrating a message and seeking an America that more closely resembles the interests of its true people, aka white people. When they keep talking about make America great again, this is the same sentiment. This is what they're talking about. They want to go back to a position where they were on top. And that's why when you had people like the Coonsters coming out there saying whites and Asians are oppressed, they like when she says stuff like that, because it lines right up with this leader of this group said. True people, aka PC. At the end of the night, the march ended in a logistical anticlimax. No arrests were made at the Arlington Memorial Bridge, where the demonstration wound down, and DC Police Lieutenant Jason Bagshaw told the Daily Beast that the cops, some in riot gear, were on the scene simply waiting for people to leave. Now, if that was black people, like I said, they wouldn't have been waiting for them to leave. They would have forced them out, and it would have got violent. That's why I always believe that when it comes to when black people protest, it's always something on their end, not the black people, but on the cops end, that they're doing something to antagonize, and that's why something pops off. And then of course when the mainstream media gets a hold of it, they turn it into something else and into an angle, and thus that makes it seem like the black people are just so aggressive and agitators. And then you have some people in the mix of those groups that's kicking up dust to have something pop off as well. Look at that movie The First Purge and you'll see exactly what I mean. That is when it became clear that more than 24 members of the white supremacist group could not leave, as they were apparently stranded. Members of the group had waited in a one-way roundabout to depart in one of the U-Hauls they had used to transport themselves for the rally, but the large rented moving van could not fit them all, so many of them were forced to wait in 45-degree darkness as the bulky orange vehicle made multiple trips over the course of nearly 3 hours. So, wow, so they had to spend 3 hours just to transport them to some location before they were done getting all of these individuals out of there, because it wasn't enough room. As the group finally departed, one police officer yelled, "Whose shield is that?" after one white supremacist apparently left his plastic shield behind. Patriot Front was once known as Vanguard America, but changed its name after a man affiliated with the group murdered a woman at the notorious Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. So that's where they were at, and we know they're talking about that guy that killed Helder Hire. Members with military experience often train each other in basic tactics ranging from a protest gear list, Marine Corps issued combat boots, and decontaminate wipes to hand-to-hand combat. White nationalists like Richard Spencer have hired the group for their own security. Of course, he would need it, because every time he goes out and about, he seems to get knocked right straight in his jaw, usually by another person that looks like him. It's crazy, Richard Spencer's line of thinking. He doesn't like black people, but it's white people that be the ones that be giving him that work. I've yet to see a black person give Richard Spencer that work, except for maybe cussing him out online or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I thought this was very funny. Like, they took a whole U-Haul to this rally, and then they had to do over 3 hours worth of transports because they couldn't fit all of them in there, and then they had to do it in complete darkness. So that was even worse. And a lot of them probably, or none of them probably, are not even from this area. Hell, the person driving the U-Haul is probably not even from here. I could imagine how smelly that U-Haul was. But that's pure desperation right there for them to want to do something like this. First off, it didn't gain any traction. Notice that a lot of times when they do stuff like this, they don't get any kind of attention, at least not the ones that they hope they're going to get. And then it's like, all for what? It's for absolutely nothing. Like, what did they accomplish? Really, except just go out there and just be there. I don't think they accomplished a daggone thing. Honestly, they didn't. They just went out there, beat their chest, and went home, and barely made it home. That's why I can't be bothered with when they do stuff like this. I really can't. I can't. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. I know y'all probably got a good little laugh off of this. I know I did. And I'll talk to you in the next one.